Today, President Trump went golfing at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach County, then headed back to his Mar-a-Lago club, where he is staying through New Year's. Overall, President Trump has visited a Trump-branded property on almost a third of his days in office. I want to talk about this with CNN political commentators Alice Stewart and Simone Sanders, and Bill Kristol, editor-at-large at the Weekly Standard. Hello, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Still more of the holidays to come.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, since there's a war on Christmas.
Yes, and happy Kwanzaa and
yes, Habari Ghani.
Why you got to be extra, Simone, every time?
I'm just saying, it's Kwanzaa.
Alice, President
Yes,
Trump tweeted that he is back to work. The very next thing we see is the president golfing at another Trump property. He spent 110 days as president at one of his properties. Is it surprising, given he once claimed that he wouldn't have time to golf if elected?
Is it surprising that he says one thing and does something different? No.
Yeah.
Look, we knew he was going to be this way. We knew that he was going to frequently play golf. And look, I for one, think that he can get a lot done out on the golf course. Oftentimes, he's out there talking with members of Congress and others. He did, Purdue from Georgia was out there today, and
Alice,
they have some immigration issues. Look, I'm just saying he does things a lot differently than any other people with regard to business. I have never,
You don't think it's a bit hypocritical, though, that he criticized the former president so much, and he spends way more time on the golf course than the former president? That's all he did. Was Barack Obama is on the golf course so much, he's never in Washington. He's out of Washington and on a golf course way more than the former president ever was.
It is extremely hypocritical, but this is the president, and these are the days that we live in. This is not out of the ordinary. I, for one, I never criticize President Obama. I've never criticized any of the other presidents for golfing or horseback riding or mountain climbing whenever they did on their time off. They work extremely hard, and 24/7, 365 days a year, they are available for whatever is needed. And look, while the president was out on the golf course today, he was briefed earlier on a suicide bombing in Afghanistan, which was certainly important. But look, I think that no one should be surprised in the least that President Trump is out playing golf as much as he is. This is how he lived his life before, and it's no surprise he's doing it as president.
Simone, you don't want to say it. I know you want to go. Go ahead, Bill.
No, well, since I don't play golf, I'm happy to criticize both President Obama and President Trump for wasting so much time walking along a big manicured set of lawns, taking a stick and hitting a little ball, trying to get into a hole. But anyway, I just said that. I just said
more walking. This president doesn't do much walking.
That's
he's
true.
Always
He's
in the golf course.
He's more of a golf cart guy. Anyway, I just said that so 100,000 CNN viewers can go nuts and email me about how terrible it is. They don't appreciate the great sport of golf and all that. But I like watching it sometimes. Anyway, no, but President Trump did what he had to do today. Honestly, it was the tweet you referenced earlier, attacking the FBI earlier this morning. His main occupation, honestly, the one thing he wants to do more than anything else, I believe, and I say this seriously, is discredit the Mueller investigation, discredit the FBI, and lay the predicate for either ignoring whatever report Mueller comes up with, or I think more likely pardoning people and maybe trying to fire Mueller. I think Trump is dead serious about this. People are treating him as if he's annoyed, he's irritable. Isn't it funny that he tweets these things? He and his allies have systematically, at least for a month since Flynn pled guilty and it was announced that he was cooperating, since people like Hope Hicks spent time testifying before Mueller, he is systematic. He's very worried about this investigation, and he's doing his best to discredit it, and that's what he did this morning before going out to play golf.
Yeah, Simone, listen, we're off topic a little bit, but I was sitting here as I was thinking, if there's something that I'm not worried about, if someone says something about me that's not true, or I just go, hey, go look into it. Here's my phone. You can look. I didn't do it, or what have you. And I wouldn't be, calling them fake and phony. I wouldn't care. It just would not be in my orbit. He's got to be worried about something. And listen, I'm not saying there's collusion there, but he's got to be worried about something, or otherwise he wouldn't be crowing so much about it.
Yeah, I think the president is worried. I also think that this cloud of an investigation of something gone awry has been over his entire presidency. And he's probably frustrated, but look, he brought this upon himself. I have no sympathy for President Trump in the Mueller investigation, because had he not fired James Comey, the former FBI director, we wouldn't have James Mueller or a special counsel. So again, these are unforced errors that he brought upon himself. And he's going to continue to inject himself in the middle of this conversation because somehow I think Donald Trump thinks he's smarter than all of us, but he's not. He's just making it worse. And it's high time he starts listening to the people around him.
Let's get back to what we were talking about, though, because spending so much time. Do you take umbrage with him being on the golf course so much? Because yesterday he said, look, this was a great holiday or whatever, but back to work and making America great again. And the first thing he does is plays golf for most of the day.
I absolutely take umbrage with it. One, because he criticized President Obama so much, and Donald Trump has spent more taxpayer dollars and more time on the golf course than President Obama's entire 8 years in the White House. And so there's one standard yet again for President Obama, and there's another standard for Donald Trump. One person is the first black president of the United States. The other one is, the president that pioneered the birther movement. I also think it's a problem that Trump is not just spending time on any property. These are Trump properties. He is literally using his position as the president of the United States to publicize and profit on his own personal companies. And I think that's something that folks talked about a lot in the beginning, but have not talked about as much. When we're calling the Mar-a-Lago the Winter White House, that's branding. We're doing the work of the Trump Organization for them. So I definitely think that it's not normal for a president to, be profiting off his properties while he's
all right,
White
we have
House.
lots more to talk about. Stick around, Alice. I'll get to you on this. Everybody stay with me. When we come back, the New York Times out with a new report revealing what President Trump is saying about immigrants behind closed doors, including saying that Nigeria's immigrants would never go back to their huts after seeing America. As a presidential candidate, Donald Trump told me I am the least racist person that you have ever met. Well, as president, do his policies support that claim? Back with me now, Alice Stewart, Simone Sanders, and Bill Kristol. Okay, so Simone, there is a startling report. It's in the New York Times. In the Times, it's over the weekend. According to two unnamed officials, President Trump said at a meeting in June that people coming from Haiti, and this is a quote, all have AIDS, that recent Nigerian immigrants would never go back to their huts in Africa, and that Afghanistan is a terrorist haven. Well, when you think about his past comments about African Americans, about Mexicans, what do you think of this?
I think I stand by the comments I made earlier this year in stating that I believe Donald Trump was not only a racist, but he sympathized and identified with white supremacists because he does, in fact, hold white supremacist views. I also think this is just really ignorant. But what troubles me is that there's a subset of the American people that believe what Donald Trump believes in this moment, and that's dangerous. And so he strikes me as someone that just doesn't read and hasn't been anywhere in these comments. And I do have to say that there are folks whom I know that have also that I asked about this, people that are affiliated with the White House, and they noted that they have heard this before. This is not the first time they heard this story in the Washington Post. Pardon me, in the New York Times.
Alice, the White House denies the report, writing in a statement this, that General Kelly, General McMaster, Secretary Tillerson, Secretary Nielsen, and all other senior staff actually in the meeting deny these allegations, these outrageous claims, and it is both sad and telling that New York Times would print the lies of their anonymous sources anyway. Do you think President Trump's past comments about race and immigrants make this report more believable for some people?
I think it makes it a little more credible in some regards, given his history. Look, he is not a politically correct person. He has never been, and he never will be. But there is a sense when it comes to, let's take, for example, the immigration issue. And for lack of a better phrase, in his view, the ends justify the means. He is for immigration reform. He wants to secure the border. He wants to end chain migration. He wants to have a more secure vetting process for getting immigrants into this country. That is what he strongly stands for when it comes to immigration. The language he uses and the way he goes about doing it is
between political correctness and decency.
And his ignorance.
Now, look, in his mind, he has never been one to mince words. He says exactly what's in his mind, and I think in his mind, this is about policy. I've never agreed with everything he says and the tone that he uses and his demeanor. I support his policies.
But and look, Alice, I'm sorry. You know I love you. I got to push back, though. Like, he said folks from Haiti have AIDS, that people in Nigeria live in huts, and they don't want to go back to their huts. Like, I don't think that's policy. I just really think these are his ignorant views. I don't think there's a policy reference for that.
I hear you, Simone, but look, these two reporters that wrote this piece are phenomenal journalists. I commend their work. But when we're having people that were actually in these meetings saying, look, that language was not used, I think we also have to take that into consideration, too.
They often deny reports, though, that come out of, and then give the very same people who reported on them interviews after.
Well, I don't believe anything that the White House says.
But look, there's plenty of stuff that he said publicly that's deplorable, I think, and that has cheapened and coarsened our public discourse, and one can believe whatever one wants about these reports, about things he said in private. Things that he says in public matter more. People let off steam in private. I'm not defending him at all, but people who let off steam in private, that's one thing. But he has said things publicly and then stood by them that, you know, the Mexican judge or other things, obviously, about immigrants, Charlottesville, that really did damage, I think, to the public discourse of this country.
Hey,
so
Bill,
I think there's plenty of evidence.
Can I ask you this? Let's remember, and as I think you're referring to it, he said, you know, very fine people on both sides when he's talking about white supremacists at Charlottesville protests. So what does that tell you about how this president sees race?
Well, I think he is not I don't think he's impartial or colorblind or an equal opportunity person necessarily when it comes to race. But again, I don't think one has to depend on a contested private report. That's really the point I'm making. I think there's enough on the record there. And I come back again, if I can just, since I'm sort of obsessed with the fact that everyone is interested in psychoanalyzing him instead of looking at the facts. I mean, it's unbelievable that less than a month ago, his former national security advisor pled guilty to lying to the FBI, is not cooperating with the investigation. I mean, there's real. In other words, earlier someone was saying, well, he's created these problems for himself. There's some truth to that, I think, in terms of firing Comey. But this is a factual question here about the integrity of his administration, about his attacking law enforcement agencies and other parts of the U.S. government in ways that diminish public confidence in our government. There's plenty that he's done in public as president that I think is really deplorable, if I can use a term that you're not supposed to use, I suppose, since Hillary Clinton used it, that you don't need to depend on contested reports of things he said in private.
Well, Don, there's one other point that I want to make is that, Donald Trump, while he was on the campaign trail, went to the Little Haiti Cultural Center in Florida and told the Haitian people at the Cultural Center that he wanted to be their ally if he got to the White House, that he wanted to fight for them. And these reports coming out in private do not, and what he has actually said on the record about people of color, don't stand the smell test to what he told the people at the Little Haiti Cultural Center. It just doesn't.
Yeah, listen, the others in the party, in the Republican Party, and including Jeff Flake, have been speaking about diversity not only in the party but also as it comes to this president. Is there a wake-up call for Republicans coming, especially with 2018, Allison? Quickly, I only have a few seconds left.
I think the wake-up call is to continue doing what they're doing, working together as a party and continue furthering the policies. Look, I think what they have to do is tune out what the president says and the divisive language that he uses and some of the rhetoric that he uses and do what they've done with tax reform, work together to get things done.
Sorry to call you Allison, quick, but I had to get off the air. Thank you all. I appreciate it. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.